There's something out there. It's after kids everywhere. It entices them, confuses them, and can even kill them. That's right. Illegal drugs are everywhere. Cocaine coaxes you in, and then when you least expect it, it grabs you. You're hooked, and it's hard to get away. And have you seen what marijuana does to some people? Oh yeah, you've seen them. Total burnouts. It slows you down. It softens your mind. And in my neighborhood, you need to move quickly and think fast. Drugs. It's a bloody shame.
Borderline personality disorder. Today, I want to discuss how we view drug addicts compared to how we should view drug addicts, in my opinion. I believe that we would have a better society if we understood the whole mindset of an addict better, or at least tried to look at it from their point of view instead of just saying that drug addicts are evil people. This is what I learned growing up. I learned in school, this is what they taught us, that drug addicts were out to get you hooked on drugs. And all you had to do was very simple. Just say no. That's it. Just say no to drugs. It's that simple. How hard can that be? That is the way they made us kids feel growing up, that it was that simple. You just say no. The propaganda they showed us, they would show us these films, and it would always have this drug addict, a dealer out there preying on the innocents. They would always be hanging out in alleyways. There wasn't even an alley in the town I lived in, but drug addicts were always hanging out in alleyways, on street corners, waiting for you to walk by so they could be all, hey kid, you want to smoke this? And it was always usually a joint. It was marijuana, typically, that the drug dealer was trying to get you to use. And all you had to do was just say no and keep on going. You ain't cool if you ain't smoking pot. Well, everybody knows that's true, so I mean, you can't argue with that. It was all propaganda. When I did encounter dealers and alcohol and drugs, there was nobody pushing it on me. I never had it pushed on me. Once I decided to use, though, I went completely pro right off the bat. I've said this many a times. Now, in going pro, I had to go and find the dealers. There was no one pushing it on me. I knew which friends did drugs. When I decided to go pro, I just called those friends up and said, hey, I've decided to go pro. They were more than welcome to help me out. Some assholes out there that when you're trying to be clean, it's their mission to come and get you hooked again. My throat's getting a little dry. Time for me to take a drink from my Mr. BPD personalized coffee mug, made by Ducey Davis himself. Here's a close look at that craftsmanship. It says Mr. BPD. It does not say Mr. 696. It says Mr. BPD. That's our custom logo, created by Ducey Davis himself. Be sure to order yours today. There's a link in the description below. Why would you want this cup? Well, because Mr. BPD himself is going to take a drink and say how good it is. Just like Grandma used to make. Or, damn, just like Grandma used to make. This is why I think we villainize drug addicts. Our perception of them comes from these just say no commercials. Nothing's really changed. I don't know what kind of brainwashing propaganda videos they show kids nowadays, but I'm assuming it's probably the same kind of thing. We never think that drug addicts have families that live like normal people. You wouldn't even know that they were drug addicts unless they told you. They have jobs, they own homes, they go to work, they pay their taxes, they have children, their children are doing good in school or well-mannered. Now, this may sound like it's a bad situation. Being dependent on anything is a bad situation. It's the same if you're dependent on cookies.
Come on, come on! Go away!
This theoretical home. If it were found out about their drug habit, their kids would be yanked away from them, put into a foster care system that doesn't really do much investigation into foster parents. There's far more abuse in foster homes than would be in this home that I'm discussing. All I'm trying to say is just the fact that people would know that they were using drugs would be this whole big deal, which would destroy the kid's life, would destroy their life forever. On the flip side, there's these homes that have drug addicts, and everybody knows they're drug addicts, and their kids are going through horrible issues, and those go unnoticed. A lot of them. What am I saying? What am I really trying to point out here? What I'm trying to point out is that there's good and there's bad on both sides of the fence. There are homes that there are drug addicts out there that are horrible, sleazy people. There are also drug addicts out there that are good, responsible members of society. That makes me think the drugs themselves are not the problem, it's the individual. Because there are good people out there, and there are just pricks out there that are completely sober and don't do drugs. So why is it that we punish those that do drugs so harshly and think that they're bad people? Is it because of the propaganda, the stereotype against drugs and drug users? Why is there the propaganda in the first place? What's the reason for the propaganda? Why do we teach children at a young age that drug people are evil and bad? It's been proven that fear does not keep somebody from doing something. If you scare a kid by villainizing drug addicts in propaganda films, it's not going to then make them not use drugs. It doesn't work. Education would work. Educating children on drugs and the effects of drugs would work. You know what I've seen that works? It keeps kids off drugs? Having parents that are using. This is only a study of maybe 3 families, but in all 3 families, the kids grew up with parents that had addiction, with parents that were very honest about their addictions. And the kids grew to hate the addiction. They loved their parents took care of them, they felt safe in their home, but they didn't like the fact their parents were using. They still don't, unless their parents have gotten clean. I've lost contact with some of these people over the years. But when I was still in contact, these kids had grown up and had actually become, adults. And in those kids don't use. I think there's 1 kid maybe out of the whole bunch. That's pretty good, I think. Now, I don't know what that means. Like I said, this is just, a little just snip, just what I've seen from my experience. I'm not saying that's going to happen in every situation. But I do think it shows something that goes against what I was taught and what I believe society has been led to believe about addicts, which we believe that drug addicts cannot take care of their life. That is one of the big beliefs, yet I have seen it happen. I've seen addicts who hold down jobs, pay their taxes, raise a family, and their kids turn out to be A students, which leads me to believe that maybe villainizing people and just hating them on the fact that they use drugs might not be the answer. We like to think that the drugs are the bad thing. If we got rid of drugs or stopped people from using drugs, all crime would stop, all bad things would stop. The world would be a better place. When in actuality, the drug use is coming from a spot of pain. People use drugs to escape pain and suffering. So you're going to take people that are going through immense pain and suffering and throw them into the prison system, is generally what we do to drug addicts. We just lock them up. We make sure they can't be members of society. That takes their pain and suffering and it amplifies it. Then when they get out of jail, they have the stigma of being a drug addict. Nobody wants to deal with them because drug addicts are bad, and it continues the problem. There's a lot of money made in the prison system. We'll go over that in another video. We should do is we should legalize all drugs. I've said this before, I'll say it again. I don't care what it is, legalize it all. Why would we do this, you're asking? Because then we control it. Right now, we don't control the drugs, right? We control the prescription drugs. We can control that. But all the street drugs we don't control. If we legalize it all, we then get control over it. Or not we, personally, I wouldn't have control over it, but the government gets control over it. And even though I'm not big on government control, I would rather a government be controlling it at the moment than a bunch of cartels and criminals and terrorists. Which right now, that's why drugs are bad. Because how do we get the drugs? It's illegal, so there's a black market. That's where our crime comes from, not the drug addicts, the individuals making and producing and selling the drugs in high quantity. If we took control over the distribution, we would cut out a lot of violence right there. We would cut out a lot of funding for terrorism and cartels and criminal activities. We would also cut down on our prison population because we would no longer be arresting people just because they use drugs. So our prison population would go down. Now, of course, there would be bad consequences too, but then we could punish people for actually doing something instead of what we're punishing them for now. I mean, if somebody is using drugs and gets into a car accident, we could charge them the same we would charge somebody for drinking and driving. We'd also educate people. Also, if we're controlling the situation, people come in to buy their drugs from, I figured we'd have like dispensaries like they do with the pot. We could keep a record of it. We could also control how much is allowed to be sold to. And there's so much that we could do, and all that money could go to the government. I mean, we would tax the hell out of it. We'd tax alcohol. The price would go down. Street drugs are horribly expensive, so we could tax it and make money, and it'd be cheaper for the user, and there'd be services for them. If it's not illegal, when they need help, they would probably ask for help. Also, if you just let people have something, they probably don't want it as much. There's a huge appeal to the fact that you're doing something illegal. Some people like it just for that. I could be completely wrong, though. I might be. Am I crazy? Let me know in the comments section below. If you've not yet hit that subscribe button, please do that now. My whole life, my self-worth, I get from the subscriber count. The higher that count goes up, the more I feel like I mean something. So please, give me a reason to live and hit the subscribe button. Be sure to also hit that bell. Ring-a-ding-ding the bell. If you don't ring the bell, YouTube will personally, there's somebody in a room somewhere that'll make sure that they block your IP so that you can't see my videos. So be sure to ring-a-ding-ding the bell. I know you liked this video. There's more videos over on Patreon. Happy videos, sad videos, videos about videos. Go check it out. Patreon links for all of this crap is in the description. If you want to help me pay a bill or two, you can give me a donation over on PayPal. There's a link for that as well. Advertising sucks. Until next time, keep on keeping on.
Getting into drugs and being high is a stupid thing to do. But being in control and saying no, it's not the easiest thing to do. Being original and take a stand, you are free to say no. Don't let a friend push you into taking drugs, you got a right to say no.
Remember to just say no.